Varig Flight 820 was a flight operated by the Brazilian airline Varig that arrived at Orly Airport in Paris, France, on July 11, 1973, after departing from Galeo International Airport in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Due to smoke in the cabin from a toilet fire, the Boeing 707 with the registration PP-VJZ made an emergency landing in Onion Fields approximately 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, 2.7 miles, from Orly Airport. The fire caused 123 deaths. There were only 11 survivors, 10 crew members and 1 passenger. Relief Captain Antonio Fuzimoto was the pilot who handled the controls and landed the plane in the field. An aircraft, the Boeing 707-320C, registered PP-VJZ, was produced in February 1968 and had logged 21,470 hours of flight time. The aircraft was originally meant to be sold to Seaboard World Airlines, but was bought by Varig prior to this taking place. Varig owned and operated the aircraft throughout its entire life, with the exception of a brief lease to Seaboard World Airlines. The aircraft had seating capacity for 124 passengers and was operating close to full on the fateful flight. Citation needed. Crew. The crew aboard the flight consisted of 4 flight crew, 4 relief flight crew, and 9 cabin crew. The primary flight crew consisted of Captain Gilberto Araujo da Silva, 49, First Officer Alvio Basso, 46, Flight Engineer Cloner Bello, 38, and Navigator Zilmer Gomez de Cunha, 43. Captain Araujo da Silva was highly experienced and had flown 17,959 hours, of which 4,642 hours were on the 707. Additionally, First Officer Basso had a lot of experience, with 12,613 flying hours, 5,055 of which were on the 707. Both Bello and Gomez de Cunha were also highly experienced airmen with 9,655 hours and 14,140 hours in total respectively. Between them they had 8,113 hours on the 707. The relief flight crew consisted of Captain Antonio Fuzimoto, 45, First Officer Ronald Utermol, 23, Flight Engineer Carlos Nato Diefenthaler, 38 and Navigator Salvador Ramos Halino, 45. Relief Captain Fuzimoto was also very experienced, with 17,788 flying hours total, of which 3,221 were on the 707. Relief First Officer Utermol was much less experienced, with only 1,540 hours in total, of which only 788 were on the 707. Relief Flight Engineer Diefenthaler and Relief Navigator Helino had a combined total of 17,859 hours on the 707 and 16,672 and 15,157 flying hours, respectively. Due to smoke in the cabin from a toilet fire, the Boeing 707 with the registration PP-VJZ made an emergency landing in Onion Fields approximately 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, 2.7 miles, from Orly Airport. The fire caused 123 deaths. There were only 11 survivors, 10 crew members and 1 passenger. Flight 820's problems began when a fire started in a rear lavatory. As many passengers in the back of the plane inhaled smoke, crew members moved to the front of the plane toward the emergency exit. Prior to the forced landing, many of the passengers had already died of carbon monoxide poisoning and smoke inhalation. The aircraft landed in a field 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, 2.7 nmi, short of the runway, in a full flap and gear-down configuration. Of the 134 passengers and crew aboard the flight, 10 crew and 1 passenger, 21-year-old Ricardo Trajano, survived. Captain Araujo da Silva, First Officer Basso, Flight Engineer Bello, Navigator Gomez de Cunha, Relief Captain Fuzimoto, Chief Purser Galadi, Attendants Pires de Oliveira and Pija, and Turcis and Brando escaped from the forward galley while remaining in the cockpit for evacuation. Trajano was found unconscious with Relief Navigator Helino, Attendant Balbino and another passenger. Balbino and the passenger died at the scene, whereas Helino died in a hospital soon after. Varig Flight 967's disappearance would later involve the captain of Flight 820.